Welcome to our Up the Villa podcast, phoning, calling, whatever we're going to call this. And we did them a few months ago, and just with Aston Villa's busy schedule, it's been quite difficult to fit them in. But I felt like this was the perfect time to bring this concept back, and hopefully once Europe and the congestion of each week, we can bring this back as a proper feature. And I really wanted to just take this chance to chat to as many Villa fans as I possibly could. So I opened it up to our faithful group who like to contribute on the website and want to contribute on the channel as well. So we'll kick it off tonight first with Ellis. How you doing, mate?
I'm buzzing. It's been definitely a good few months since we've been back, and it's been a good few months for Villa as well. So yeah, looking forward to chatting along about the Villa.
I like how you come on and you say buzzing as if that's not the word I use every week. But I could tell you watch, mate. But I mean you're a lot younger than most people that are going to be on tonight. A little bit like Hannah, who's on the podcast as well, who's not really seen too much glory as a Villa fan or good times. So talk to me about this season. How have you found watching Aston Villa?
It's like a dream because, like you said, there's not been too much glory for the time that I've been watching Villa. I first properly got into Villa the season we went down, actually. So from there, the first 4 or 5 years was just bad news after bad news after bad news. I've seen the club get relegated. I've seen the club go through near liquidation. And then the last few years, it's been gradually getting better and better and better. And we're at the point now where I didn't think we could ever get to. When I saw the club nearing liquidation that I'd fell in love with for the space of, 2 or 3 seasons, I'd fell deeply in love with the club. And now to watch it back to how my brother and how my dad have seen when we've been in Europe and we've actually been good, for example. It's like it's I can't even explain how good it is. It's so good being a Villa fan right now. Like whilst I was at school, I was always like, yeah, I'm a Villa fan, like a little bit like proud. I'm proud of the club, but I knew we weren't at the levels of the Uniteds and stuff like that, and I was gonna get ripped into. But now I can proudly say, like I could before, but I can proudly say that I'm an Aston Villa fan and we are good. And yeah, it's such an exciting time to be a Villa fan, I feel. And yeah, I wouldn't change it for the world.
What's the favourite part for you about Villa at the minute? Like what really sort of gets you going at the minute when you're watching us?
It's just the style of play that we've got. I feel like we could just outpass anyone. Like we there's ways of beating us. I think if they sit back, we struggle a little bit. But even then, I feel like Emery's got a plan, and it's just having that confidence. Like I've never felt this confident that we could beat anybody before, and it's a lovely feeling. But I also just feel like the feeling of going down Villa Park and just expecting a win every single time. Like I've never had that before. And like I fear maybe 1 or 2 teams at Villa Park, maybe your Man Cities, your Arsenals, maybe your Liverpool, but other than that, you'd sometimes go, for example, the Luton game. I feel like that's a perfect one where normally if we were under Dean Smith or under, I dare talk about him, but under Gerrard or whatever, you'd be a bit comprehensive. We've been on a winning run. We'd most likely do a banana job against like a team like Luton for that of that stature anyway. But now there's not really that there because there's so much trust into Emery, and yeah, it's just beautiful. I keep on saying it, but it's really. I was just so excited about being.
I think the point that you're making as well is it's the mindset now that's a little bit different. Like we've gone through phases before of having sort of like, we've been 2-0 up, and you'd sit in Villa Park and you'd think, we need a third here, because if they get another one, then they're going to get another one and they're going to win this game 3-2. Whereas now you feel the sense of Unai wants to have full control on every single ounce of that 90, 105-minute performance. And because he's got that detail, you kind of feel like he is in control. And I think that's just absolutely massive. So how are you feeling about... Sorry, how are you feeling about the next game? And go on to your point then.
Okay, I was just gonna say how it was like that word control. Like there is never a moment under Emery where we need to rely on a moment of magic, and I'm so glad that I don't have to hear that saying moment of magic, because there's always a game plan and there's always that confidence that Emery knows how to beat this team that's in front of him, and the players trust him, the fans trust him, and it's just Emery. He saved the club from what it was under Gerrard to what it is now. It's complete parallels. And like going into the next game, it's just confidence. Like I can't explain it. Feel like we're going to have a few important players come back into the team the next few weeks. And I feel like from what we are now, we're going to go a step above that as well. And we're going to really cement our push for Europe again. And hopefully Champions League this time. Maybe even the title. Who knows?
No, you'll get told off in the comments for mentioning that like I have about 500 times. One game at a time. I know. Right. Right. But I'll ask you then, realistically, right now, if I had to say to you, where do you think we're going to finish? Where would you say?
Excited Ellis would say top. But I know realistically it's going to be a long season, and Man City are going to come in January and just beat everything that's in front of them, as they always do. I think fourth has got to be the target, but I'd say anything from sixth downwards, as long as we go on a decent FA Cup run and a decent Europe run, like go far in Europe, I wouldn't be too mad with a sixth place finish.
Great stuff. And what have you been doing for the website recently? Just talk to us about what you contribute on there.
Well, the website has been brilliant for me, and I can't recommend it enough for people who are in my position, as in a young writer that's struggling to find experience, maybe for like big names. Going onto this website, it has been so good. And there is been taking a little bit of a break away, but I've been working in the background on a big project. And yeah, just stay tuned onto the website, because again, it's great writers, great people, and yeah, big shout out to Ryan as well, because I know how hard he works on the website.
Yes, well said, mate. Been great to have you on, mate.
Thank you for having me.
Up the Villa. Next up, suited and booted tonight. Big night, man. How are you?
I'm all right, although I'm a little bit upset that you referred to everyone else as being so much older than Ellis, Luke.
Well, Justin's on in a bit. He's the old boy. We'll save him till last.
Yeah, great. I mean, what a great time to be a Villa fan, isn't it? I mean, it's. I was thinking, it was interesting listening to Ellis then, obviously as a kind of relatively sort of young Villa fan, and I think even when you look back at your own history with Villa and kind of what times have almost been better than this, and I think for me, I probably kind of came of age with Villa a bit around sort of finishing second in the first Premier League season and the League Cups, and then that '98 period when under John Gregory, when we were absolutely flying at this time of year, and it kind of fell away in January. Brilliant times under O'Neill. At the time, I lived in Manchester, Luke, and we used to go and watch Villa away a lot, and saw great wins at Anfield and Old Trafford. But this feels different. Like as a 42-year-old guy with like an 11-year-old son, like going to Villa Park every week, you just think this is madness. Like this is just feels unbelievable, and Liz touched on it, but I mean that idea of like turning up to Villa Park and almost thinking, well, we're going to win today, and it's just how that actually sort of comes to fruition. But I mean it's just great, isn't it? And I think long may it last. I think it's interesting, you asked Ellis about like kind of where you think we'll finish. I think if we're honest, though, we're going to find out how good this Villa team is over the next 4 games, aren't we? Really, and I think Spurs away, then obviously Bournemouth away, City and Arsenal at home. I think that when we come out of those 4 games, we will really know, I think, how good Villa are. And there's going to be some strong tests in there. But it's as a lot of people will say, you feel like Emery's got a plan, hasn't he, and all this sort of thing. But yeah, it's great stuff, isn't it? It's a great time.
It is, yeah, and I mean, even for you going, with your young lad, I've walked to the games with you a couple of times, and I think it was last season. It was his first time in the Holt End, and I imagine we still wouldn't have lost the game since then. So that's mad to even look back on that.
Isn't it? 13 games. You just think, it was. I mean, whenever it was Arsenal, wasn't it? I think the last home loss in the league. And that was what, February, March. I mean, it is unbelievable. And I think there's kind of an element as a dad where you're kind of with your kids, well, don't get used to this. But equally, you kind of think, well, when is it going to end? And I think that what we're seeing in front of us now is almost different to some of those examples that I've used back, in the 90s and under O'Neill, and really good spells of football, and even possibly in the Championship on the 10-game winning run that ultimately got us into the playoffs. And I think this just feels a little bit different, and it's difficult not to be quite excited about it. And I think that's a wonderful position to be in as a football fan, isn't it? Of just genuine kind of belief in what you're seeing.
But I think that's why you become a fan as well. That for that enjoyment and for that love and for that excitement, and that's why I always get really excited and happy, and give me a sniff of 0.1% of winning the title, and I'm all for it, because why not? Because what are you going to do? Just sit and mope about and think, we're not going to do it, blah blah blah. Just embrace the whole thing, because it's exciting, and while we are doing well, embrace it, because we've been in so many crap times and crap positions with rubbish players or managers that haven't got a clue. You've just got to enjoy it, and you going for your lad, what memories that's going to be. He'll be like when he's older, I went with my dad and we won 13 games in a row at Villa Park. All memories and all really big things, and it does feel like a big time at the minute to be a Villa fan. So you have touched on the tough games coming up. What would you hope to get out of it then? What is after those 4 games? Because I know we're all not stupid. We all know we've got Spurs, City and Arsenal to come in our next 4 games. So where would you want to be?
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, I think for me, I think you kind of have to sort of think fairly rationally about it, and it's based on the fact that anyone coming to Villa Park, whether you're Man City or Luton, you know what you're going to get, and you know that it's going to be a tough game. Like City won't be approaching the game at Villa Park thinking, oh well. Okay, well, we'll knock a couple of early goals in. They will be well aware of that challenge, and I think that is a great position to be in. I think if I was to look at those 4 games, I think those home games are winnable. If I'm honest, the way that we're playing, I think there is a seed of doubt in my mind sometimes about kind of the defensive kind of the style of play. Not questioning it, but a reality of yes, that's how we play, and you know what, we've won 13 home games in a row playing like that way, so I'm not going to question it. But actually, yes, there will be opportunities for teams like City and Arsenal at home to potentially kind of breach that back line. But you know what, we will score goals in those games. So those games are absolutely kind of winnable games. The weirdest thing is I actually think maybe Bournemouth away at the moment might be one of the toughest in a sense, because I think that they obviously had a little bit of a kind of jump in their form, but I think the way they'll probably set up against Villa, maybe not unlike the Forest game. I think that almost might be more of a challenge, because it's not like, Arsenal aren't going to come to Villa Park and sit back, are they? I mean, they will play the way they play, and I think that will give their opportunities. So I think, for me, I think you've got to look at least 2 wins out of that 4. I'd take that, and possibly draw one of the others. But I think, we have to believe, don't we? We have to, and like you say, Luke, you've got to be positive. You can't be thinking, oh well, it's City, so we're gonna lose. And I think we've just got to embrace this kind of great moment that we're in, and I think that is such a wonderful thing, isn't it? I think like Ellis touched on a point about kind of this idea of kind of being a Villa fan and like what it means to people at the moment. I mean, so we took some of my friends' sons to the West Ham game, and only one of the 4 was a Villa fan. And I tell you what, they all came out of that stadium at the end, and they were like, "Bloody hell, Villa are brilliant!" Oh, can we come again? And you think this is great, because it is. And you know what, they are. They genuinely are. So that's what a massive moment we're in, I think,
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. So hopefully next time I speak to you, we are still where we are and we're absolutely flying. Up the Villa, Ivan.
Nice one. Cheers. Bye.
Mitch's time. How are you, mate?
How you doing, Luke? Not bad, you?
Yeah, really good, mate. So how are you feeling at the minute in this international break?
Feeling a bit surreal at the minute, don't it, to be where we are this far into the season already. It's it's going well, isn't it? I think that some of the football we're playing is a joy to watch. I think us fans will admit we didn't expect to play some of the football that we're playing and probably be in the position that we were in a couple of years ago. So to be where we are now, heading into the international break, with the injuries probably coming back afterwards as well, which will help us. I think the international break, if I'm honest, has probably come at a good time for us. We've got Moreno that's just coming back. He's probably working his way up to full fitness. Hopefully we might see the likes of Ramsey back as well. It seems as though it's come at a good time. I thought the football we played on, I'm getting confused with the days now, Sunday was it? That at times back in the day, you'd play out from the back, and I think everyone would probably be saying, get it up the field. It seems as though you can just sit back now and think, we'll be all right, we'll play ourselves out of this position. And next thing, it's knock, and we're halfway up the pitch. Tottenham will be interesting. I think we'll end up with 22 players all on the halfway line, the way we both defend. So that'll be a fun game to watch.
I think you're about right there. I've been doing a bit of the prep for our episodes next week, and I've just got this one image of just every player on the halfway line in my head. But let's talk about some of the players then so far this season that have really stood out and impressed you. I'll add a player into your mind before, because this is a player that I think, for me, I was watching is it Emery Cam or one of the episodes, and Bailey's really talking to Emery before he's coming on, and Emery's pinpointing him, and a couple of minutes later he scored one and set one up in, it was amazing. So Bailey's role at the minute, it's quite unique that I don't really want him to start games.
I was just about to say the exact same thing, to be honest. It almost seems that he's a good off the bench player, and it seems to be working for him. I think me and you, Luke, have probably been one of his biggest critics of the last couple of times, the couple of years. I used to think, don't really see what he's giving us, and I'd almost given up on him, to be honest. But I'll give him his due, take my hat off. This season, he's coming off that bench, and it seems as though every time he's coming off, he's having a real good impact. I'm quite a big fan of Zaniolo, to be honest. I think he's got potential. I think at the minute he just seems to be trying too hard. He's holding on to that ball far too long. He's a big lad, and for me, he seems to get pushed off the ball quite easy. And he's sulking and that. And before, it was always a case of get Zaniolo, don't bother with Bailey. Now I'm on the opposite, and I'm thinking we're going to have to sub in here, and we're going to have to get Bailey on. But credit where credit's due to Leon Bailey. I think he's doing really well this season.
Yeah, he just seemed tactically more aware, and he's explosively producing parts of his game that he needs to. So yeah, he's doing absolutely amazing. Touch on the away form then. What where do you think that needs to improve?
I think for everything really, we seem to, the other day you're 3-0 up, think happy days, and then we go and concede. And I think that's the problem in a minute. If we could start tightening up that defence, I think the problem is that teams to a certain extent are looking at how we're playing now. Some teams know that they can just sit back and they just wait for us to try and pick them off. And it's always difficult when teams sit in. I don't know. The away form's really difficult, isn't it? Like, you go to Forest and you think, we got Forest, we got Fulham. You're looking at that table. Someone said the other day, if we beat Forest and beat Fulham, depending on how City go, we're top of the league. And you just think, it can't happen, can it? It just can't. And then you go and get a defeat to Nottingham Forest and think, oh, God. But, yeah, the away form's a tricky one. Whether we need to have a look at changing it up a bit in formations, I don't know. I can't put my finger on what goes wrong with the away form, if I'm honest. It just seems as though we're just struggling. I mean, if our away form was to pick up a little bit, we'd be absolutely flying. But yeah, I can't. There's something just not right with the away form, and I can't put my finger on it, if I'm honest.
Well, we're glad Emery's got 2 weeks to sort of have a little bit of a sit down and have a look at it, really. But it's been great having you on again, mate.
Brilliant. And as the Ron Saunders will say, you don't want to bet against us.
Oh, definitely not. 0.1%, mate. Always got a chance. James, how are you, mate?
Not too bad, Luke. So enjoying the football and the season as it's going.
So Villa, how are you feeling going into end of November and going into December?
I think we're doing better than we hope we would be here all, but I think we're doing a lot better. We're out where we want to be at the end of the season, really, don't we?
Yeah, we've got some tough games coming up. Home form, Fortress Villa Park. We've got City and then Arsenal. How do you think those two games are going to go?
Well, at the minute at Villa Park, I fancy chances against anyone. So I think we're going to give them a game, and let's hope that we take some points off them. So,
and room for improvement. Where would you say there's areas that we could maybe improve on this season?
I mean, it's really just backup, isn't it? Because the starting 11, I think they've all took on what Emery's trying to tell them, and quite a few of them have gone above and beyond where I thought they could be, and so it's just backup really. So whether we'd get a better goalie as backup, I don't know. That's happy to sit about and not play so many games and cover for cash really, because if he gets injured, it's who will play in his position. So.
Yeah, and it's going to be massive having Moreno back. He played in the under-21s a couple of days ago. Ramsey is back on the grass, I'm hearing. So he's now doing a little program while some of the players are away behind the scenes. So he's going to be huge for us coming back, going into these games, isn't he?
Yeah, well, it's just competition for place, isn't it? And Europe, hopefully we get through and there's still more games to play, and you just want everyone fit and, so.
Definitely, mate. Cool. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Lou. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa. And finally, back off his sunny holidays. He's been chomping at the bit for me to come on here. How are you?
I'm all right, apart from being cold. Come back off my holidays, it's freezing.
So while you've been away, what's happened then? Forest Cup European game.
Yeah, Fulham.
Game at the weekend, Fulham. What you made of it then?
Yeah, we've done all right. Obviously, the Forest game was the one fly in the ointment, wasn't it? I was actually in the air when that game was being played, so we got to the hotel and I was I was itching to get the old Wi-Fi on my phone. So I got to reception. I was like, have you got the Wi-Fi code? And my wife, as any long-suffering wife of a football fanatic will tell you, she's like, what you got the Wi-Fi? I said, we need to message the kids, make sure, they know we've got here safely. So I got the Wi-Fi code, put my phone on. Couldn't believe we lost it, to be honest. I was really surprised. Then I had to just pretend that, I wasn't that annoyed and just get on with the holiday. But yeah, it was disappointing. I genuinely thought we'd win that game. I think most people did, didn't they? But every now and again, you do need one of these results, don't you? Just to give you a bit of a sort of a livener, don't you? And looking at the sort of statistics on that game, I think it seemed to go against the run of play anyway. And every now and again, you get these kind of games, don't you? I remember famously when Celtic beat Barcelona, and I think they had about 10% possession and one shot on target, and Barcelona about 300 shots. It just happens, doesn't it? I think there's a bit of a rick by Emi Martinez, which don't happen very often. And we've had to reset, and then we come back. Obviously, that European game, I managed to watch that one. I thought that was a really good game. I thought it was two sides that that wanted to have a go, and I thought they improved massively on their showing at home in Alkmaar, and they gave us a lot to think about. But we had all the answers, didn't we? Coming back from a goal behind, which doesn't happen very often at Villa Park. So it shows that they are a decent side, and these European games have been a bit of an eye opener for us, haven't they? But again, came back and was excellent in getting the result there, and has now left us in a really good, strong position in the group going forward. I think the Fulham game was something I expected us to win with our home form, especially, and probably not as comfortable as I thought we would be in the end, although it was a decent result. So yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with what I've come back to, and now we go into another group of fixtures which could be very telling. I've been listening to all the people coming on before me, and I think they're all right, really. This is a real interesting set of fixtures coming up after this break.
But I feel like it's not a set of fixtures that we should be looking at and thinking it's the complete disaster time. I think it's fixtures that we should, and I imagine the squad are looking at thinking, you know what, this is our chance now. This is our chance we'll show everyone that we are literally the real deal, and we do belong here. So that's what I'm really looking forward to. I'm really looking forward now that, yes, we've gone into away games, and to be fair, some people are frustrated about the Forest game. Fair enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But on the grand scheme of things, it was an Aston Villa side that went to the Forest ground, that tried to play their expansive brand of football, that tried to control the game. And we kind of did that. And we got into some great openings, and it was a bit of a lack of quality. They hit 2 shots and it basically went in. It was one of them. But the away game at Spurs is one where it's just going to be a monster game, isn't it? Tactically, they're going to be on it. They're going to know what they've got to do. And it's just going to raise our level, I think, even more. And I think they will know that they have to do that. And then I also do think, okay, Bournemouth will be tough as well. And then when you start looking ahead to those 2 home games as well at home, I've said this a couple of days ago, we've already got a siege mentality there, that you're coming into our fortress now, and we are in amazing form at this fortress, and we're going to beat you. And, for those 2 teams coming to Villa Park, we've never been in a better position ever to take it to both those sides. I remember going to watch, Villa Man City. I think it was that 5-0, and it was that one where there was that video after the game of like someone had recorded it from a distance, and the Villa fans were singing at 5-0 down, and it was really loud. And, it was a crap game. Aguero was literally like camped on our 6-yard box, just putting in tapping after tapping.
Yeah.
We're so far from that. It's going to be a completely different game to that. And like what we were saying earlier, it's like, it's something for us to sort of look forward to, and I think that's a massive thing. Like, okay, we've got loads of games in December, it's heavily congested. I'm not bothered. I'm looking at them games thinking we can beat those teams, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
No, I agree. It's a group of fixtures and games coming up that I can't wait for, and I'm relishing, to be honest, because we've shown that we can put most of the sides, especially at home, away, and we want to be tested now. I think that's an important factor. We have had 12 months now of this Emery side that's been so refreshing and such a good side to watch, and a good Premier League team now, a comfortable top half. Dare I say, a comfortable top 6 team now. The way we're looking, we are looking really, really good. So with these fixtures coming on the horizon, it's time now to really start stamping ourselves properly on that top 6, and hopefully, establishing ourselves maybe in that top 4 now. Spurs coming up, the away form isn't good. I've just looked at it there. It's 7 points from 6 games. But it's having said that, one more win in those 6 games, and we're third in the form table in the away form. So, getting points away from home in the Premier League isn't an easy thing to do. It's just not. So it's imperative we continue this home form, and we just keep churning out wins, because it does take the pressure off the away form a little bit. And then if we can pick a few wins up away from home as well, then we really are motoring. Spurs, difficult game, isn't it, coming up? But, they've had a bit of a rick after the really amazing start they've had to the season. Couple of losses. They've lost quite a few players. So we're going to go there, hopefully, with a real impetus now to try and get 3 points there. And then some really good, interesting home fixtures come up. And, the European game, which hopefully will be a win, and then we can qualify from the group as winners, which will make the progression easier in that. So much to look forward to. And that home form, you get a feeling now from the squad that they have now got this thing to hold on to, haven't they? This record at home. They are desperate to keep it going, and that they're not going to let anybody roll into Villa Park and just turn us over. They're going to fight for everything to get results there. And our home form is what's building this season. That's what as Ryan always likes to say, that's where the foundation is for this season, is it? The home form. And when you said at the start of the season that you fancied us to go unbeaten throughout the whole season, it's a good shout, mate. It is a really, really good shout, and I think we've got. If we come out of the Arsenal and City games without losing, then I think we've got a phenomenal chance of doing that. And as I say, if we can just turn this, I'm not saying turn it around, because we're still playing decent football. I think the Forest result showed that, as frustrating as it was to lose there, we're still playing good football, and we'll continue to play that way regardless. And there is no fear, is there? You lose that game, and the next few games we're playing exactly the same way. And he's not going to change it because of the odd bad result. And if anything, it gives him something to get his teeth into, doesn't it? I bet him and the coaching staff, I'm not saying they love losing, but I think afterwards they would have really dug deep into that result, and they would have got some really interesting points to put across to the players. And I think it would have been so insightful to be able to sit in. I'd love to sit in on one of their meetings. It'd be amazing to see the detail that they go into, and what he pulled out of it as real points to go forward. And I can't wait for it, mate. It's just been a brilliant season, and roll on the next game, get these bloody international games out of the way, so we can crack on.
Definitely. Right, so we'll end the phoning, calling, whatever you call it, now then. Great to hear from so many Villa fans. We've done quite a bit of content this week anyway. We've done an episode with Jacob Tamswell from The Athletic. We had an episode about the transfers as well. So, it's been quite a bit of content. If you want to see me unboxing a new item of clothing, you can see me do that as well on the shorts. But yeah, content will start proper back next week. Deep diving Spurs. We've got to go tactical with that one. We're doing a watch along as well tonight for the England game. We're going to be on console watch. So if you want to come and have a little bit of a chat, come into that and say hi. But yeah, cheers everyone. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.